Good morning. Hope you're having a great week. It is Wednesday, November 27th, 7:06 a.m. I hope I've got the time right this time. 7:06 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, local time here in Portland, Oregon. Let me double check it because I started the stream earlier and it was not. I thought it was 2 hours later. So when I ended the last stream, I said that I might start another stream in 30 minutes to an hour, just depending on how active the load board was. And initially, I was not going to do that stream because the load board wasn't very active, but it became active over the last 20 or 30 minutes or so. Loads keep bidding up. So let's take a look at it. This is Landstar's load board. And for people who, I need to explain some things because I get new users that aren't familiar with the trucking industry on all my videos. So this is not a public load board. This is a private load board that only people that are contracted to Landstar can view. It has contract freight and it has, well, what is contract freight? Contract freight are Landstar agents have contracts directly with customers, and that's contract freight. There's also spot market freight. Spot market freight is just crap loads that are listed on public load boards. There's lots of public load boards, and there are a lot of Landstar agents, and some of them will go out and they will bid on these loads that are on public load boards, and they will relist them onto Landstar's load board. So we do have some spot market loads that are relisted onto Landstar's board, and we have contract loads. The majority of Landstar's load board is relisted spot market loads. It's a bunch of crap loads. And as you can see, well, not on this screen. $62,382 available loads. That is the total number of loads on Landstar's load board, and the majority of them are terrible loads or duplicate loads. You know, something that I haven't seen a lot of recently are duplicate loads. Landstar has done, I don't say many positive things about Landstar and how they manage the agents or the load board, but I will say that I have seen a decrease in duplicate loads or fake loads on the load board. So they've made a tiny little bit of improvement. So with that being said, one more thing that I want to say about the load board before we start looking at the loads is the amount that you see here, the rate per mile and the revenue. That is the total amount that the load pays. If it's contract freight, then that's what the customer's paying. If it's some relisted spot market load, then we have no idea what the customer's paying. That's just what the Landstar agent negotiated the rate to be. And that's one of the cool things about being at Landstar is that if I were working off of the spot market, off of like DAT load board or some other public load board, then I would be calling brokers and negotiating rates with them. At Landstar, I don't negotiate rates. The Landstar agents negotiate the best rate that they possibly can, and I get a fixed percentage on that. So I don't negotiate at Landstar. Hardly ever. There's been a couple of times, but I almost never negotiate rates at Landstar. That's what the agents do for us, is they negotiate the rates. It's one of the cool things about leasing to Landstar. So yeah, I get approximately 70% of the amount that you see here. So, if you see a load for $10,000, what I actually get paid on that is about $7,000. So these rates that you see here, multiply them times 0.7 to get what I'm actually getting paid. So let's look at the loads that are available here. This one right here. This is the one I talked about in the last stream. Kent, Washington to Heber, California. This is the only load on the board that I'm tempted to book. This load has been on the board for 17 hours, over 17 hours. It's been on the load board for almost a full day, and nobody's taking this load. It's a load that's paying $4.90 a mile, almost $5 a mile, $6,500 to go from Seattle to Southern California. Heber, California is right on the Mexico border. This load is going into Mexico. It's a drop trailer going into Mexico, but it's supposed to be a drop and hook, which this is something else that I've explained in the last video, and I've explained in many videos, is you have to be very careful with doing loads to Mexico with Landstar, because you can be put out of business. Basically what the deal is that Landstar tries to control the number of trailers in Mexico, and agents want as many trailers in Mexico as they possibly can, because they pay the Mexican drivers nothing to move loads. They can pay them nothing. The agents make a lot of money off of trailers that they can get into Mexico. And the United States has some absolutely ridiculous laws and regulations in regard to foreigners doing loads in the United States. Foreign entities in Mexico, like trucking companies in Mexico, can get limited operating authority in the United States that allows them to do deliveries in the United States. And they've been fighting to expand that operating authority, that limited operating authority, to allow them to basically just run loads in the United States and compete against carriers that have full operating authority in the United States. And I'm very much against that, because they are not held to the same standards on that limited operating authority that we are held to with full operating authority. But anyway, that's an entirely different video. But Landstar tries to control the number of trailers, and the way that they do it is really bad on the drivers. You can go out of business doing a drop trailer into Mexico, because you won't be able to get another trailer with the Landstar policies and procedures. You could... Somebody's slamming on their horn. People hit people at the truck stop all the time. You are constantly hearing horns going off at the truck stop, and it's because of people that don't know how to back, just backing into other people. And also, it's people honking their horns at people that are illegally parked. The guy is still honking on his horn. I don't know if you can hear this. I can't see them out there. I don't know where exactly they're at. They might be on the other side of me over here. But another thing people will do is, if they're trying to pull out of a spot and somebody's illegally parked in front of them, they can't pull out because of it, instead of getting out of their truck and walking over and knocking on the door and being like, hey, could you move? Which is what I do. They will sit in their truck and just lay on their air horn for the whole parking lot to hear. It's not like anybody's trying to sleep at the truck stop. But yeah, that's one of the reasons it's hard to sleep at the truck stop, is because of people just laying on their air horns all the time. But anyway, yeah, you could go out of business doing a drop trailer into Mexico, and that is the biggest reason that I am afraid to pull the trigger on this load. Let's look at the details. So this load was originally listed... Just a second. Oh my God, that guy is still blowing on his horn. Sorry, it timed me out and I'm having to completely relog back into the website. Just got another load alert. Everett, Washington. The guy is still going on his horn. Somebody's probably hit him, and instead of getting out of their truck and coming over to him, they're probably like trying to pull away or something like that. I don't know. I'm just completely guessing. He's still honking. Everett, Washington to Albuquerque, New Mexico for $4,200. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. RIH. I remember that agency. I'm pretty sure that is the guy that tried to get me. Sorry, I'm just looking around to make sure that there's not a truck on fire or something with this guy going on his horn like that. There was a pickup truck that caught on fire at the intersection right here the day that I got here, and that thing was engulfed in flames. I can't see anything going on out there. All right, so let's go back over to... All right, Kent, Washington to Heber, California. Let's see if it works this time. He's on the horn again. All right. So this load was originally posted at like $5,100, around $380 a mile, $390. Then they reposted it at like $5,700, basically increasing it by like 50 cents a mile. And then they increased it by another 50 cents a mile. They keep increasing it by 50 cents a mile. So it's paying approximately $1 a mile more than when it was initially posted. They have not increased the fuel surcharge. So $6,500. So the comments right here, I'll read them to you. 24-hour receiver. That means that the receiver's open 24 hours a day. So whenever you make the delivery, you can deliver it 24 hours a day. It's a live load, and it's a drop and hook at the receiver. So you're just doing a drop and hook at the receiver. So that means that you can just show up at any time, 24 hours a day, to drop and hook the trailer. It's a team or solo load, no touch for the driver, weekly lane, easy load. Come work with us, JRG, direct shipper and customer. No broker freight moved through this agency. That's them basically saying that they don't repost those crap spot market loads. They only have direct customer loads. That's all they post on the load board. That's the claim they're making. So this is a van load, dedicated lane. So this is a dedicated load that they have every week. Must GPS track with Landstar Connect. All dispatchers and office locations are U.S. based only. So their entire business is based in the U.S. No reefers. So you cannot use refrigerated trailers. Van only, dry van only trailer. So the big problem with this load is that it's a drop and hook going into Mexico. Now it doesn't blatantly state anywhere here that it's going into Mexico, but it's going into Mexico. Heber is a town in California right on the Mexico border. So I think the reason no one is booking this load is two reasons. Number one, it's a holiday, and people just don't want to work on the holiday. And number two is it's a drop trailer going to Mexico. And you could be waiting for months to get another trailer doing a drop trailer to Mexico. So the pickup is today between noon and 3 p.m. in Kent, Washington, which is Seattle. I'm about, I don't know, somewhere around 180 miles from Seattle. So it's approximately a 3-hour drive for me to get to Seattle. And it is 7:20 a.m. I would have to drive through rush hour which would add to the time. So it'd take me about 4 hours to get there. So yeah, I could get there between noon and 3. The reason it's probably 3 p.m. right here is the business probably closes at 5 p.m. and they don't want to start loading you any later than 3 p.m. Otherwise, they might have to stay after 5 to load you. They want 2 hours to be able to load you. This is a very tempting load. I'm very, very tempted by this. And I keep thinking about calling the agent and asking them, like, is this really a drop and hook? Or is it a drop trailer going to Mexico? But at the same time, it doesn't really matter what they say to me. I won't trust them. I won't believe them. Because these agents are salespeople. They lie. They're professional liars. They lie all the time. So I don't really believe anything that they say. And that is just an extremely risky load. And it looks like it pays really amazing money. And if this load were on the spot market, it would have already been gone. It wouldn't set for a day on the spot market. Anyone that runs off the spot market, if they see this load, they would get extremely excited and they would book this immediately. But to put it into some kind of context, the last time I hauled one of these Mexico loads, it paid around $9 a mile, and it was about 1,000 miles. It paid like $9,000 for a 1,000-mile load. So it paid about double what this thing is paying. And Landstar has lost a lot of drivers. Landstar's fleet size was over 11,000 whenever I leased on back in 2021. And last time I checked, they were right at 8,000 trucks. Let's check it real quick. I'm trying to think if there's anything. We'll give it a try here. All right, let's search for trucks. And the compliance events having one overdue. 8,001 active trucks. Now that's not the actual number of trucks, that's just the active trucks. If someone is out of service for whatever reason, they're on vacation or they failed an inspection or something like that, then they are not showing up as active trucks. So the actual number of trucks is higher than this, but this gives you a really good idea of how many trucks Landstar has. And this number was well over 11,000 when I leased on. I can't remember how high it got up to. It might have gotten as high as 12 or 13,000. But Landstar has lost a huge amount of their fleet over the last couple of years. They lost 1,000 trucks in just a few months earlier this year. Over the summer, there was it dropped from like 9,200 down to 8,000 just this summer. And it's been hanging pretty steady at around 8,000 for the last 3 months or so. It's gone down a little bit. It's gone down, 1 or 200 over the last 3 months. But it's been kind of flattening out. But I think that most of the drivers that just weren't very good, they just didn't understand things. I think most of them ended up going out of business or leaving Landstar because they just couldn't understand the system. And I think that's the reason we have this load sitting here, this Kent, Washington to Heber, California. If we still had those bad drivers leased to Landstar, I'm sure that one of them would have taken this load by now. But I think the people that we have left that are leased to Landstar, I think the vast majority of them understand the system and they know how dangerous this load is. And that's the reason it just keeps sitting here on the load board, even though it's paying crazy money. For how bad the freight market is, this load is amazing, but it's a really dangerous load. Let's look at some other loads. Ashland, Oregon to Durham, North Carolina. I am not going to North Carolina. That place is a disaster area. I don't want to have to deal with driving on some roads that don't exist anymore or routing detours or any crap like that. It's only paying $2.80 a mile to go into a state that is in like a disaster recovery. No, it's crazy. Colorado, no. Colorado loads, they need to pay an absolute minimum of $5 a mile to even consider them, because you basically have to cut Colorado loads in half because it's in such a freight dead area that you have to deadhead so far out of the freight desert to get your next load that you can basically cut the rate in half, because you're going to have to drive almost twice as many miles to get your next load. And that's the same for all of the freight desert. Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, all those places. Um, they basically have to pay double all the other loads for them to be viable. Everett, Washington to Albuquerque, New Mexico, $285 a mile, $4,200. That's a load that was posted recently. Not interested. Let's look at the details on it though, because I remember this agent, RIH. It logged me out again. What's going on? Why in the hell does this thing keep logging me out? All right, let me relog back in on my main page here, so that hopefully it'll stop doing that. The new load board is so janky. It's so frustrating to use, and it's supposed to be an improvement over the last one. Whoever Landstar contracted out to do it is just... it sucks. All right. What were we going to look at? We were going to look at this RIH load. So RIH, this agency, no comments. So they don't have any additional information on this. So let me flip this back over to me. Let me check my email and make sure that this is the agent that I think it is. Well, it looks like I hauled a load from North Dakota to Texas for them. Oh, is this the agency that I did that? This is. Oh, yeah. All right, so I've done a few loads with this agency. It doesn't look like they're the ones that I was thinking of, though. Let's see who. Oh my God. It was a load hauling coal. between Texarkana, Arkansas, and Huntsville, Alabama. And they also contacted me about another load. Rick Patel. Here he is. Found him. It's the RPT agency, not RIH. All right, so different agents. So the RPT agency, the one I was thinking of, is I was going to do a dedicated run with them. It was like a year-long contract hauling coal between Huntsville, Alabama and Texarkana, Arkansas at, oh, it was an awesome rate per mile. It was like $4 a mile or something like that. And I was like, man, this is awesome. And then when it came time to actually do the load and they sent the actual freight bill, it was like $2.50 a mile. I was like, are you kidding me? I called them up and they, like salespeople do, they played stupid and were like, "Oh, I thought I told you that $4.50 a mile was just for the very first load, and then every load after that was like $2.50 a mile." I'm like, "No, you didn't mention that." And I told him to. He kept contacting me about that load, and I kept telling him to stop contacting me. And then he ended up contacting me a couple months later about some dedicated run over somewhere along the East Coast in like North Carolina, South Carolina, or Kentucky or something. I can't remember where, but it was some dedicated run where I was going to have to get a pneumatic system put on my truck. That was going to cost like $6,000, and he's like, "I will pay for it up front." He didn't say he'd pay for it. He said that's the way he worded it, but what he meant was he would finance it for me. And so he said that he would give me the money up front to put the pneumatic system in, and then I could pay for it over time. And I was like, no, I'm not putting a pneumatic system to do a dedicated run. It wasn't paying that great either. It was like a year-long contract, but no. But he's not who I thought he was. RIH. This is the agency. I've run a couple of loads for them. The load that is most that I'm most familiar with, that's most memorable, is a Dickinson, North Dakota load. It was a power only, hauling some oil field equipment from Dickinson, North Dakota to like Longview, Texas. It was like some 35,000 pound weird looking piece of equipment. It was just, it looked like a portable refinery or something. And I got there to pick the load up, and this piece of equipment was in a field. It was raining. It was buried in the mud up to the bottom of the trailer. Like the tires were like completely buried into the mud. And the ground was so wet, and it was in a field, you would have to wait for the ground to dry out before you could get someone like a tow truck in there to pull it out of that mud. A tow truck wouldn't have been able to pull it out with how wet the ground was. It was just in a field. They like rented a field from someone and just parked a ton of oil field equipment in it. And then it rained and everything sunk into the mud. And I walked around for like over an hour in the rain looking for the specific piece of equipment that I was supposed to haul out of there. Oh my goodness, it was a pain in the butt. And then I contacted the Landstar agent, and I was like, "This, give me a truck ordered, not used," which is basically when a customer orders a truck, and you get there, and then they don't give you the load. They're supposed to pay a $650 truck ordered, not used. So I demanded a truck ordered, not used, because the equipment was not in a position to haul. I wasn't going to wait around for a week waiting for them to figure out how they were going to dig that thing out of the mud. And it also had a lot of issues with it. There was crap hanging off of it. It wasn't secure in any way. They needed to have somebody come out there and like tighten down bolts, and there was a whole bunch of hoses and stuff on it that were just dangling loose. There was a bunch of equipment that was just sitting on it, um, like parts and stuff like that. Like imagine just like alternators just like setting on the equipment, not secured in any way. It was parts like that were just sitting all over it, and it had flat tires, and there was just tons and tons of issues with it. I was like, I'm not going to sit around here. And what the broker wanted me to do, because this was a spot market load. This was not like a direct Landstar customer. This was one of those crap loads off the spot market that I don't like hauling because of scenarios like this that I've been in. The broker that had the load, not the Landstar agent, but the broker that I was interacting with, which was a complete asshole. This guy was he was an ass. Um, he wanted me to basically be his eyes and ears at that location and tell him what needed to be done, and he was gonna like call tow truck drivers and mechanics and stuff like that to come out there and get all this equipment ready to haul out. I'm like, that's not what I agreed to do. I agreed to come out here to move this trailer for you, not to manage the site. And he and I went back and forth. Like, he was really, I can't put into words like how much of a jerk he was. His expectations, his sense of entitlement were crazy. And he refused. I never got a penny out of that load. I deadheaded like 300 miles to pick that load up. And it was a power only load, so I had to get rid of my trailer. So after that load fell through, I had to deadhead all the way from Dickinson, North Dakota to, was it Kansas City or Omaha? I think it was Kansas City. Kansas City, Missouri. Or Kansas City, Kansas. I can't remember which side of the road it was. But I had to deadhead. It's like 800, 1,200 mile deadhead. I forget the mileage on it. All the way from Dickinson, North Dakota to Kansas City to get another trailer. And Landstar paid me like 65 cents a mile to deadhead that far to get a trailer, because there was no trailer anywhere remotely close to Dickinson, North Dakota. So yeah, some really negative experiences with that agent. All right, a load disappeared. I can't tell which one it was that disappeared off the board. But the Kent, Washington to Heber, California still persists. Nobody wants that load. I don't know at what price I would call and ask them, because they're claiming that they do this load every week. I just don't trust agents. I've been lied to by them so many times. They're salespeople, and I don't trust salespeople. That is such a risky load to take. Decisions. And it is really foggy. Like, I am. How far is that? From the fuel island, I think I'm maybe 300 feet from the fuel island. Maybe a football field, maybe a little over a football field length. And I can barely see the fuel island. That's how bad the visibility is outside with the fog. So if I book this load, I would be driving in rush hour traffic with almost zero visibility all the way across Portland. I don't know. And it probably has to be picked up today. Most likely this business is going to be closed Thursday and Friday. Most businesses are going to be closed Thursday and Friday. If I don't book a load today, I'm going to be sitting through the weekend. Almost guaranteed. Decisions. All right, let's do some other load searches. Let's look and see what's going on in the Calexico area. Well, this is already set up for Fontana. Let's check the LA area first. So this is what is this? 150 miles. Yeah, 150-mile radius around Fontana, California. So this is basically the LA area. So the way I usually judge how good the LA market is by how many loads over $8,000 they have. And the best paying load that they have on the board is $7,200. And it's a hazmat load that's going 2,200 miles. It's going to Atlanta. Forest Park, Georgia is Atlanta. Inglewood, California to Atlanta, Georgia. So LA to Atlanta. Paying $327 a mile, $7,200. So the LA market is not that great. All right, so let's try Calexico. All right, now we've got some San Diego loads popping in. San Diego to Polk City, Florida. San Diego to Tampa, which is basically the same thing as Polk City. This is basically the exact same load. One of them's 20,000 pounds, the other one's 40. Neither one of them's paying that great. All right, let's sort these by distance and just see what's in the Calexico area. Here's Heber, California to Sewanee, Georgia, 284 a mile. So 307 going to Rogers, Arkansas. Rogers, Arkansas is up by like, wait a second, am I getting that mixed up? No. Is Rogers, Arkansas where the nuclear power plant's at off I-40? I don't know. I can't remember where Rogers, Arkansas is at right now. The name is very familiar, but I can't place the exact location of it. It's either on the edge of Fort Smith, or it's where that nuclear power plant is at off I-40, like, I don't know, 40 miles east of Fort Smith, or it's up in the Bentonville, Fayetteville, northeast corner where the Walmart headquarters is at. I can't remember which one of those three places Rogers, Arkansas is at right now. Just got a load alert. It's an agent that I have blocked. Why am I getting load alerts from this agent? I have them blocked. Oh, it's because it's paying over $8,000. I have a second load alert set up for loads that are paying over $8,000. This is Staten, Oregon to Silver City, New Mexico. And the reason I have this particular agent blocked is because every single load that they post is a huge multi-stop load. That load has 29 extra stops on it. So yeah, I'm not interested in that. Calexico to Pharr, Texas. 258 a mile, 284, 254, 294, 257, 267, 278. These are all cheap loads. Now this is interesting. This Calexico load does not pick up until December 2nd. The load that I'm delivering to Heber, which is basically Calexico, I could get there before December 2nd. So I could book both of these loads right now and run them back to back. And I would make about $8,000 between the two of them. Let's see, it's $6,000 or $6,200 plus $4,400. That's $10,600. So I'd make like $7,600 ballpark running those two loads back to back. Let's check and see what the comments are on this load. No comments. It's only 12,000 pounds. Rogers, Arkansas is up in the northeast. Fayetteville, Bentonville. That's pretty close to my house. After I delivered that load, I would just deadhead home. It's still quite a ways away from my house. It'd probably be 300 miles. But no big deal. I would still deadhead home. Let's go to Google Maps. $1,341 miles. This is tempting. Let's go back and look at... Yep, it's still there, the Kent, Washington to Heber, California. Nashville to Tulsa. Yeah, sorry if it takes me a while to respond to your messages. It's way over here on my other monitor. I have to look way over out of the way to see them. It's not too cold up here in Portland. It's bouncing between like 40 degrees at night and 50 degrees during the daytime. It's perfect to where I can have my windows rolled up and not have to run the heater or the air conditioner, and it stays right at about 65 degrees in the truck. Um, Nashville to Tulsa. Oh, that's nice. JQL. I've hauled a lot of loads for JQL over the last couple of years, but as far as a dedicated run, I've never heard back from them on any kind of dedicated run. They just don't have any solo dedicateds. I think there's even a line for their team dedicated runs. They have a wait list for team dedicated, and they have like nothing. I don't even think they have a list, a waiting list for solo dedicated runs. And for people who don't know what I'm talking about with the JQL agency, JQL is the agency at Landstar that has the Google contract, which they're really secretive about this, and I don't know why they're secretive about this, but Google bought a lot of XPO logistics terminals, and they don't have them branded as Google, and they don't advertise that they are Google. I'm not sure what company that they're branded under right now. But the purchase, the acquisition of those terminals is so recent that on Google Maps, most of the locations are still listed as RXO or XPO Logistics or something like that. So I'm not sure if Google bought one of the XPO Logistics companies, because XPO a couple of years ago rebranded and they split the company up into several different companies. I think they still mainly operate under XPO, but they broke out like their terminals into RXO and some other things like that. I'm not sure what all they did with all their rebranding, but I think Google may have bought out one of the divisions of XPO Logistics that was rebranded as like RXO or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Google is really secretive about it. And I finally got one of the employees to admit to it. Like, I was at one of the terminals, and I won't say which terminal, and I was talking with him. I was like, all of these facilities that I go to for Google used to be XPO Logistics facilities. Are they still XPO Logistics? And they were like, I think Google might have bought out XPO Logistics or something like that. They were just being really ambiguous about their answer. And I was like, so you guys work for Google, don't you? And she was like, yeah, I'm not supposed to say so, though. We're not supposed to say that we're affiliated with Google. And she said that, like, no one at the company has told her directly that she's not supposed to tell people that she works for Google. She said it's just a rumor that she was told that if you tell people you work for Google, you'll get fired. That's the rumor going around, is that if you tell people you work for Google, you'll get fired. So they are really secretive that they work for Google, all these XPO Logistics facilities that Google bought out. But anyway, that's JQL. They have the Google contract, and they have some really good paying loads. And that's who I've done a lot of my loads for over the last couple of years. And I've been trying to get a dedicated run with them, but yeah, no luck. God, I can't believe that this load is still sitting on the board. This Kent, Washington to Heber. This tells me, that the vast majority of the people contracted to Landstar right now are very knowledgeable. Like I was talking about earlier, there were really bad loads that would disappear from Landstar's load board within a couple of minutes of being posted. And I was just sitting here looking at them like, why in the world would somebody book that? That was a horrible load. And that was back when Landstar's fleet size was, much bigger. and they were bringing in people like crazy. And I think that we just had a bunch of bad drivers. But now that the fleet size has shrunk quite a bit, I've also heard that Landstar has become a lot more strict in who they let into the fleet, because over a couple of year period, they loosened their standards and it tanked their CSA score with all the bad drivers that they brought in. And they actively went out and canceled contracts on all the bad drivers that they brought in. You can go find YouTube videos of people posting, hey, Landstar just canceled my contract, and they wouldn't tell me why. And it's because they purged who they thought were bad drivers. People that wouldn't have normally been able to lease on to Landstar, that for a couple of years they were letting people through qualification that they wouldn't normally. They purged those drivers, and they got more strict. So I think that's the reason this load, just nobody's taking it. And the longer it sits here, the just the longer it sits here, the more I'm just about to call on this load. It's so tempting. You done any more FedEx out of Oklahoma City? No, I haven't. I haven't really noticed a lot of FedEx loads on the board. I don't know if they're not if they're not, moving as many FedEx loads, or if they're just paying so low that they're not showing up on my load alerts. But there for a while, I was hauling. When I haul loads for agents, it goes in spurts. Like, there'll be agents that negotiate good contracts, and I'll just start hauling for that agency for a few months. And then all of a sudden, those loads disappear. And then I'll find another agent that's hauling, posting good loads, and I'll haul for them. So right now, the two main agencies I haul for are the JQL that has a Google account, and Dawn, the DDB agency that has the Maddox account. I haul those retail shelving units out of Terrell, Texas. That's the last 3 times I've left my house. That's what I've hauled. But there for a while, I was hauling the FedEx loads out of Oklahoma City, going over to the LA area, which worked out really well because the FedEx location in Oklahoma City is right across the interstate from where I park my truck. It's like 1 mile away from where I park my truck. And it was lithium batteries or something like that. Every single load was the exact same load. It was like lithium batteries, but the way it was packaged, it did not require placarding. It was hazardous materials, but I forget what the details were on it. The actual weight of the lithium part of the product wasn't high enough for the hazmat placard threshold, or it was ORMD. I can't remember the details on why it didn't require placards. And for people who don't know what ORMD is, that's basically large companies have... Our government is corrupt. And large companies have gotten exempted from a lot of the rules and regulations that small companies have to deal with. So one of the things that large companies pushed for, like Walmart, was to where their drivers wouldn't have to have hazmat certifications. So they came up with this thing called ORMD, which is basically, if hazardous materials is in retail packaging, then it doesn't require any placarding. So you can haul an entire trailer load of chlorine bleach, which is extremely hazardous material. You can haul 45,000 pounds of chlorine bleach. And if it's in a container for retail packaging, like what you put on a store shelf, no hazmat certification required, no placards, no nothing. But if it's not in retail packaging, it requires a hazmat certification and placards and all of that. Lots of rules and regulations. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's the exact same thing. It's whether it has a retail sticker on it or not. But, that's the corruption of our government. And whenever they have regulations like that that are forced onto, they allow large companies to basically dictate policy and regulation and law. It creates a manipulated market. There are a lot of people that talk about free market capitalism and stuff like that. What we have in the United States is not a free market. The regulations and laws and everything are not equitable. All right, let's refresh. And every time I refresh, I'm just hoping that this Kent, Washington to Heber, California load disappears so that I stop thinking about it. I am so tempted to call on that load, especially that there is that Calexico load going to Rogers, Arkansas that I could book and pick up immediately after I deliver this load. Oh my goodness. This is so tempting. None of these other loads are tempting. There's things wrong with every single one of these other loads. Ashland to Durham, North Carolina, 31,000 pounds of hazmat going 2,800 miles, 282 a mile. Not a good load. I don't want to go to a disaster recovery area in North Carolina. Everett, Washington to Albuquerque, New Mexico, 285 a mile. No, not tempted to do that. Albuquerque's a bad freight area. You're going to have to drive 500, 700 miles or more to get your next load out of Albuquerque. And it's not paying a premium going into a bad freight market. Puyallup, Washington, however you pronounce that, going to Denver. Denver's a bad freight market. I won't even consider a Denver load unless it's over $5 a mile. Pasco, Washington to Champion, Michigan. Max weight hazmat. It's paying a decent premium. I don't want to go to Michigan. And I don't want to haul a hazmat load. Oregon to New Mexico. It's a light load, consumer goods. It is paying a premium, $3.94 a mile. I remember this agency, the SUL agency. There's something I don't like about this agency. Oh, it has an extra stop on it. Grants Pass, Oregon to Albuquerque, New Mexico. We'll take a look at the details on that one and find out what's wrong with that load in a second. I think this is the agency that all of their loads are drive or unload or something like that. Ashland, Oregon to Durham, North Carolina. This is the exact same load. It's hazmat. Same weight. Yeah, this is the exact same load as the one up here. So this is a spot market load, and one agency has it bid at $8,200. Another one has it bid at $8,000. And another Colorado load paying $3 a mile. So let's look at this one and see. I can't remember what it is about this agency that I don't like. There's something in the comments that'll tell us what it is. One pick, two drop, driver assist to tail. It's not a driver assist if I unload everything to the back of the trailer. That's a driver unload. Securement pictures must be taken, all kinds of crap. No, yeah, I'm not dealing with unloading a trailer. Even driver assist, Landstar pays $50, which is an absolute joke. And a driver unload, they pay $150, which is also an absolute joke. I'm not unloading a trailer for $150. And I'm especially not unloading a trailer for $50. Oh my goodness, I'm so tempted to take this Heber, California. Right now I have my trailer and a Landstar trailer. Oh. FedEx is cheap these days. They send single batteries out of Tulsa. Alright, have a good one, Lance. In case I didn't catch you before you ran off. Lance is one of the old school subscribers. I think he started watching the channel before he leased to Landstar, or right around the same time he leased to Landstar. I think he and I leased to Landstar really close to the same time, right around the summer of 21. Just go away, Kent to Heber. My goodness, that load is so tempting. Oh my god, the fog hasn't changed at all. It is still just really thick fog out there. I really don't want to drive up to Seattle to pick that load up. If that load were picking up in Portland, I probably would have booked it by now. I really don't want to drive 3 hours up to Seattle, especially through rush hour morning traffic and really dense fog. Oh my goodness, it's tempting though. What sucks is I decided to start this video up. Well, initially I wasn't going to do the video because there was no movement on the load board. And then I started getting text messages and phone calls and alerts. I was like, well, let's fire up the video, man. There's stuff going on. And then after I fired up the video, it died off. So there was only like a 30-minute window where I was getting all kinds of alerts and text messages and stuff like that. I can't imagine how many phone calls other Landstar drivers get, because I have my preferences, my contact preferences set as do not call. And there's a little checkbox that says, should we provide your phone number to agents? And it's no, don't provide my phone number to agents. And I still get a lot of phone calls. So I don't know how the agents are getting my phone number, but man, the other drivers out here that have their phone number just set normally, I can't imagine how many phone calls they get. Just a second here. Just making sure there's not somebody backing in next to me. I try to always watch when somebody's backing in because, man, people hit people all the time at truck stops. And it's usually just little nicks and scrapes. They'll just barely touch the side of your trailer and stuff like that. But it happens all the time. Luckily for me, the guy on my right side is broke down, so nobody's been coming or going on the right side. How can I get a job? Landstar is not an employer. Landstar is a contracting company, a lease company. They only deal with owner-operators. But, so, like, I don't know what your situation is right now. Are you a company driver, or are you, like, looking to get into trucking? Are you an owner-operator? Do you have a truck? Because the path to get to Landstar is not just, like if you're not in trucking, then you have a lot of steps to take to get to leasing to Landstar. Lots of movement outside, lots of noise. Man, I cannot believe this Kent Washington load is still sitting there. I think I'm going to call the agent. Man. Let's check something. Was that Rogers? That's that agent that I have blocked that lists those loads that have like 30 stops on them. I just got another load alert for one of their loads. Another reason I have that agent blocked is not just because they post loads that have 30 stops, and every single load I've ever seen them post has 30 stops on it. It's also that they just keep reposting the same loads over and over and over again. How can I am trying to get a truck on credit. Wow, that is really hard to do. Um, Buying a truck, yeah, that's a really big question. So it is really difficult to get a loan to buy a semi truck because most places are going to classify that as a business loan. You're not going to be able to get like a consumer loan for a semi truck. It's going to have to be a business loan. And most places will not give you a business loan unless you have like a minimum of 2 years of like tax forms and information about your business to show that you're profitable. And a lot of places, well, I won't say a lot of places, but whenever I looked into this, because I ended up paying cash for my truck. I just bought it outright for $40,000. But I wanted to finance it. And my bank told me that not only would I need like 2 years of business information showing profitability with my business, now, business revenue, tax records and stuff like that. I also, they was told that they did not like to give business loans to businesses that only had a single stream of revenue. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a trucking company. And they were like, well, yeah, we want you to have a second revenue stream that is separate from the trucking business. So I don't know if that's the case everywhere. Okay, we just got another load alert for Ridgefield, Washington, which is basically north side of Portland, to Mason City, Iowa. $5,500, $314 a mile. It's hazmat. Really light, 6,000 pounds of hazmat. It's a spot market load. So, buying a semi truck with a loan is extremely difficult to do. The only people I know of that can do that are people that have been owner operators for several years and they make a lot of money per year. So as your first time purchase of a semi truck, that's basically impossible to get a business loan to buy a semi truck. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it would be very difficult to do. I don't even know if you're like a truck driver right now, but I don't think that they would accept your trucking income as income for a business loan to buy a truck, because you would be quitting your job and starting a trucking company. So they would want your revenue from your trucking company to show that you could pay them back. And you don't have any experience with the trucking company, so you have no revenue. So it would basically be impossible to get a loan, a business loan to buy a semi truck. I don't know, you can try it. I'm not a banker. So maybe I could be wrong on that. I know that I tried to do it and I have phenomenal credit and I have a really good, I'm like a VIP customer at my bank. And like I had a lot of cash I had enough cash in the bank to buy the truck. And my bank knew this, and they wouldn't give me a loan to buy a truck. That's a situation that I was in. So if I couldn't get a loan with having near perfect, I had a credit score over 750. Lots of money in the bank, enough to buy the truck outright. Several years of employment history. Just like I was like the perfect credit applicant, and the business side of the bank basically just laughed at me when I asked for a loan to buy a semi truck. They were not nice about it. So yeah, you're probably going to have to lease or save up money and pay cash. I highly doubt you're going to be able to get a business loan to buy a semi truck until you've been running that business successfully for a few years. Oh my goodness, that's so tempting. It is still there. 8 a.m. We're starting to get to the point now where I would have to book it within the next couple of hours to even be able to pick up the load. But I'm sure that this agent is desperate to move this load. So I could probably call them and chat with them and maybe work something out. No problem. Yeah, that's just my experience. Don't like that's just my opinion based on my personal experience. I wouldn't take it as gospel. If you really want to, get a loan for the truck, then by all means get out there and call around to several banks and explain your situation and ask them what you would have to do to make that happen. Maybe there's some way that you can get it with a consumer loan. Consumer loans are completely different than business loans. This is the life of an owner operator that does their own load board. That picks their own loads off the load board. This is what I do every day. Is just sit here looking at the load board, looking at loads, and just sitting here thinking, do I want to take that load? And I factor in everything about the load, the weight, the pickup, the delivery, the pay. I really am tempted to call and just talk with this agent. And that could really solidify whether or not I take that load. Hmm. All right, while we're sitting here waiting, what the main thing that I'm looking for today is today, in case I haven't mentioned this already, today is the best day for a unicorn load, a desperation load. Somebody that just really, 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 really needs to move a load, and everybody's going on vacation for Thanksgiving, so there's a lot fewer trucks available to haul loads right now. Everybody just wants to get home for Thanksgiving. And businesses are going to be closed Thursday and Friday. So if you have a load that needs to be delivered early next week, then you only have today to get that load booked and moved. So this is the moment when you could possibly get one of those really amazing like $8, $10, $12 a mile loads. So while we are sitting here waiting on a load alert to see if that might happen, that's the main thing I'm waiting on today. Is I'm waiting to see if that happens. Let's check out my my sailboat dream. So for anybody who hasn't been following my channel, you don't know what's going on with a sailboat dream. I've been fantasizing about selling my truck, selling my house, selling my car, just liquidating everything and moving on to a sailboat. I think I could get it to where my living expenses would be under $5,000 per year. Total living, well, not total living expenses. That would just be like, no. Yeah, I think I could get the entire year possibly under 5,000, food and everything, if I ate really cheap. Sure, just a second here. All right. Ashland, Oregon to Durham, North Carolina. It's the agent reposting that same load. This Ashland to Durham. There's a couple of agents reposting this. So this is some spot market load that a bunch of agents are bidding on the spot market. And this agency right here keeps reposting the load over and over again. Every time they change anything on the load or they choose to repost it, I get another load alert on it. So a lot of my load alerts are the same loads. Oh my goodness. I thought that the Heber, California load got taken, but it was just they posted so many of those Ashland, Oregon to Durham, North Carolina loads that it pushed the Heber load down. All right, so while we're waiting on new load alerts, let's check out the Sailboat Dream. So yeah, I think I could get my living expenses down like super cheap to just a couple of $1,000s per year. And I think I could figure out a way to make a couple of $1,000s per year living off the boat. I have no idea what I could do to make money on the boat, but I could figure something out. We can figure something out. But I've been looking at boats, and I've been debating between. I'm still in the research phase, which usually takes me years to do. So this isn't something I'm looking to do next month. But in the research phase, I've just been trying to absorb as much information as possible on the possibility of living full-time on a boat. And when I say living full-time on a boat, I don't mean like living in a marina docked in a slip. Right now, there's a lot of boats that are just being sold. A lot of people are getting rid of their yachts. It's not wealthy people. It's the poor people, like me. They're getting rid of their yachts. And there's a few reasons why a lot of people are getting rid of their yachts. One of them is because the economy is bad, and the cost of everything has gone up, and the amount of money that they make hasn't gone up at the same rate that the costs have gone up. So it's wiped a lot of people out. And the other thing is the slip fees. Most of the people that have yachts, they pay to park them in a marina, and the cost to park them in a marina has like doubled in the last couple of years at a lot of places. At most places, the cost has gone up by almost double. And you'll see a lot of people giving away yachts for free just so that they can get rid of their $500-600 a month fee to park their yacht. They can't afford to pay to park their yacht, and they're giving away these cheap yachts, the lower end yachts. A lot of them are just being given away for free. So the big thing that I had to decide first is, do I want a motor yacht or a sailing yacht? And I want a motor yacht, but I've decided on a sailing yacht because of cost. Motor yachts just use way too much fuel, and the engines are way too expensive on them. Motor yachts typically have two large engines, like 350, 450 horsepower engines, and they get like 1 to 3 miles per gallon. They use crazy amounts of fuel. So even if the upfront cost is the same, the cost of ownership over time is just really, really high on a motor yacht. So I decided on a sailing yacht, and then I had to choose like length. Like, how big of a yacht? I want it to be as small as possible to meet my needs. So there are a couple of things that made me decide on a 34-foot yacht, and this 34-foot Catalina is almost exactly what I want. So why did I choose 34 feet? Well, um, I plan on living in Florida, and Florida boat registration is based on length, and there's something about I think Florida, there's a huge increase in registration cost per foot once you get to like 40 feet. And then I also plan on going to the Bahamas, and there is the cost to like get a, I don't know, it's not a visa. I don't know. I've never left the country. I'm not familiar with the terminology, but there's a cost associated with going to the Bahamas to be able to check into the country with your passport. And the cost between 34 and 35 feet doubles. So a 34-foot yacht is like $150 for 90 days, and a 35-foot yacht is $300 for 90 days. So basically 34 is the largest yacht that you can have before you start getting into the large yacht categories. Like, a lot of the things I've looked at are sized between like 35 feet and 99 feet. If you fit in that category, then you pay these fees. So getting a yacht that's 35 foot pushes you up into the large yacht category. So 34 feet puts me at the very top of the small yacht category. So I pay the lower registration fees and all the lower fees, lower slip fees, lower everything fees. But this is a 34-foot Catalina, which I think in my last video I was using the term Catalina incorrectly. What I meant was catamaran. I was talking about the multi-hull boats. And I was referring to them as Catalina, but that's actually catamaran is what I was meaning to say. So this is a 34-foot boat. The other thing I'm looking at is the depth of the boat. The Florida Keys and the Bahamas are really shallow. Like, it's a lot of like 6-foot depth areas. It's really, really shallow. So that's something else I've been looking at in the boats. And older boats have longer keels on them. So they have they can't get into the really, really shallow water. So if you get I'm not sure of the exact year, but the newer yachts, the newer small yachts have shorter keels so they can get into shallower water. So this one is 4.25 feet depth, I believe, which is about as shallow as it gets for a monohull. The catamarans, the multi-hull ones, they can get in really shallow water. But I can't afford a catamaran. They're much more expensive than these monohull yachts. So this one is just about exactly what I want. It's really shallow depth, 34 feet. It's in excellent condition. Only thing that sucks is that it's in Boston, Massachusetts. I know that this is not going to be on the market in a couple of years whenever I do this, if I end up doing this. But if for some reason I was in the market to buy it right now, then I would have to sail it all the way from Boston down to Florida. And I have never sailed a boat before in my life. So if I do this, there's going to be a ton of stuff that I have to learn. But I learn quickly. I'm sure I'll pick it up really fast. Alright, no more load alerts, so let's see if... Yep, Heber, California is still there. and the fog has not changed at all. Usually when the sun comes out, the fog starts dissipating, but I haven't noticed a change in the fog. 8:31 a.m. Yep. Just making sure. This is so tempting. Kent, Washington is like in the center of Seattle. Oh, wow. Just what are you doing? What are you doing, Google? Just teleport me all the way back to the beginning, huh? So yeah, Seattle traffic starts way down here south of Olympia. It really gets bad right after Lacey, right here. Right around Lacey is where it usually gets stop and go traffic during morning rush hour. And I have to go all the way through that, all the way up to through Tacoma, all the way up to Kent in the center of damn town. And on top of that, I have to drive all the way across Portland during rush hour. It's really weird that it's showing that traffic's moving pretty smooth through Portland. Maybe a lot of people have the entire week off. No, traffic does not look bad going all the way through Portland. Let's do a search on this agency. Looks like the Calexico load is still available as well. JRG agency. Let's search for all their loads. Looks like a bunch of cheap crap. Alright, here's another San Diego to Heber, California. Here's San Leandro to Heber. So all of their loads are paying really trash rates, except the loads going to Heber, California. Let's see if there are different notes on these other Heber, California loads. I don't see any. They didn't bother to put notes on it. Let's check this one, see if it's got notes. No notes on that one either. And nobody is taking any of these loads. That is a big red flag that they have loads that are paying really good money. Like this load going from San Diego to Heber, it's only going 117 miles, but it's paying over $1,200. After the 70% cut and all that stuff, I mean, you're talking about a load that's paying over $800 a day. And you should have plenty of time to do another load that day. It's a same day delivery. And then the other load that they have that's going 570 miles from San Leandro to Heber, that's paying some pretty decent money. There's got to be something wrong with them on why people aren't taking them. These have got to be drop trailer loads. And I wish I was getting more load alerts, but the freight market is just dead. Looks like my only hope today is some desperation load. How much are the expenses per trip? That's difficult to answer. Um, I would say that the average cost per mile for most owner operators is around $1.75 per mile. That's not my cost per mile because I have some of the lowest costs in the industry. So how do I come up with $1.75 a mile? So if you factor in your fuel cost per mile, your wear and tear, your maintenance costs per mile, all of those things, all of your variable costs, and then you also need to take in your fixed costs, your truck payment, your insurance, your ELD rental, your subscriptions, things like that, tax services, all of those. And you factor them into some kind of mileage. Usually you do a 2,500 mile week. And you break all that down, and that's normally going to come out to somewhere around $1.15 a mile for most people for all of their expenses. And then you also have to pay the driver. Even if you're the owner operator, even if you don't have an employee as an owner operator, you still have to pay the driver. If you're not paying yourself, then how are you going to pay your mortgage, your car insurance, your car payment? How are you going to buy food? You have to pay yourself. And I ballpark that at about 60 cents per mile. 60 cents per mile isn't very good. That's, first year truck drivers can make 60 cents a mile. High-end truck driver pay for an employee is somewhere over $1 a mile, like $1.20 a mile. Something like that would be at the higher end of pay for employees. So 60 cents a mile is kind of low. So that puts you at about $1.75 a mile. My operating cost is much lower than that, but $1.75 a mile, and if I'm only getting 70% of the load, then that means a load that's paying $2.50 a mile, $1.75 a mile is 70% of that. So loads that are listed on here at $2.50 a mile, those are break-even loads for most trucks. So you have to be hauling loads over $2.50 a mile on Landstar's load board to be profitable. Otherwise, you're running a break-even business. And if you're running a break-even business, you're eventually going to go out of business because of unexpected expenses. You have to be making more than what your costs are so that you can put money aside for that $15,000 breakdown that's eventually going to happen. And that's the reason most truck drivers go out of business. Most owner-operators end up going out of business is they don't understand their operating costs and they haul loads below operating cost, and they're not able to put any money in the bank. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and then they eventually have a large unexpected expense, and it drives them out of business. So yeah, anything remotely close to $2.50 a mile on the load board, I don't want to touch it. Like even these loads that are $2.85 a mile, that's only 35-cent a mile profitability. Not really worth touching. Unfortunately, the freight market, the prices on the freight market have not increased with the massive inflation that we've had over the last few years. The prices on the freight market have nothing to do with inflation. It's just purely supply and demand between the number of trucks looking for a load and the number of loads that they're trying to find a truck to move. It's just supply and demand between those two things. That's what dictates the rates. So the rates right now are about the same place that they were back in the 2018, 2019. And we've had huge inflation since then. All right, Prineville, Oregon to Laverne, Tennessee, $2.80 a mile. I'm not touching that. Prineville, Oregon is out in the middle of no damn where. Let me show you. Prineville, where is it at? It's somewhere in here. Right here it is. Right there is Prineville. See how far away from an interstate that is? That's out in the middle of nowhere. It is bi-directionals out there to Prineville. I don't want to be driving bi-directional roads out there. And then when you come out of Prineville, that $2.80 a mile is based on you taking bi-directional roads straight out. Basically driving across almost the entire state of Oregon on bi-directional roads through all the mountains and everything. I'm not going out to Prineville, especially not for $2.80 a mile. Somebody booked this damn Heber load. Oh, I thought it disappeared, but no, it was just that Prineville load popping up there. And they posted it again. They posted another Prineville load. Wonder what this agent is thinking about doing. This agent that's listing these Heber, California loads, because they've already bumped the price by $1 a mile. I know that they're desperate right now. They're probably afraid of losing this contract. That gives me a lot of leverage. And it also puts them in an extremely desperate position where they are even more willing to lie. So they're even more untrustworthy right now. All right, it looks like the fog is dissipating quite a bit. I can see much further now. I don't see any fog out there actually. So yeah, now there's absolutely no way that they're going to tell me the truth on whether or not this is a drop trailer into Mexico. Because they would be so excited to get somebody to take the damn load if they'd basically tell me anything to get me to take it. I'm sorry this isn't more exciting. It's just really slow. There's hardly any loads coming in. Now I could reduce my filters up here to have it to where it shows, like, I already have my filters set up to show me loads that I would not haul. So there, as you can see, there's a bunch of loads on here that I'm not willing to haul. So my filters are already set lower than what I'm willing to do. But if I lowered them even more, then we would get a lot more movement on the load board, but it would just be more crap to sift through. Let's double check that Calexico load is there. Yep, the Calexico to Rogers, Arkansas is still there. I think that was a spot market load, though. Direct shipper? No. Yeah, it's a spot market load. I don't like doing spot market loads, and I especially don't like doing spot market loads that are booked out like a week in advance, which that one doesn't pick up for a week. Why don't I like booking spot market loads that are way in advance? Well, it's because the spot market is a lowest bid market. What'll happen if I book that load is the worthless piece of crap broker, the salesman that's selling that load, is going to keep that load listed on the spot market up until the last minute before I pick it up. And if somebody comes in and agrees to take it at a lower price, then they will cancel the load on me. So every time I have booked a spot market load several days in advance, every single one of them has canceled on me. And they usually don't cancel on you until the day before. If they cancel 24 hours before the load picks up, then they are not required to pay a truck ordered not used. If they cancel within 24 hours of the pickup, they're supposed to pay $650 truck ordered not used. So they'll wait until right before that 24-hour period and then cancel at like 30 hours before the load picks up. Something like that. So I usually don't book spot market loads unless it's within that 24-hour window. And I don't usually book spot market loads at all. I generally try to avoid them because there's just so much drama with spot market loads. I couldn't. I keep thinking about getting my own authority, but with the amount of drama that I have to deal with the very few spot market loads that I do, I couldn't imagine all of my loads being spot market loads. Just being 100% reliant on the spot market, oh my goodness. That's just a level of drama that I don't think I want to deal with. Like, there's so many non-payment issues that I have to deal with spot market loads, and I don't do many of them. And almost every spot market load I've ever done, I've had non-payment issues with them. They refuse to pay truck order not used. They refuse to pay layover or detention or anything. It's hard to get them to just pay the agreed upon rate for the load. And then all the extra drama that you have to deal with, there's there's no way that they're going to throw any extra money in there. Ah, my goodness. I am so tempted to do this Heber, California load. You know what? There's one other thing to check here. Let's check weather. Make sure that there aren't any major snowstorms. All right, today, not too bad between Portland and Seattle. Tomorrow, Friday, the weather actually looks really good. We are in an amazing weather window. I was just looking for another excuse not to take this Heber, California load. Let me check my email and see if I have done business with this agent before. Alright, it doesn't look like I've ever done business with them. But they used to send me a whole bunch of emails when I first leased on to Landstar. Well, no, this would be a year. The week of September 20th through September 26th of 2022, I was getting emails every day with them sending me emails about loads. And then I unsubscribed from them on September 26th, and I haven't gotten another email from them since. I've got some food heating up. I made a YouTube short talking about my food warmer. Let me flip this back over to the load board. You can look at the load board while I'm. Yep, it's still there. Oh, the electric cord not that long. Let me slide this over. There it is. Now it's long enough. So I made a YouTube short. It's the first YouTube short I've ever made. I wanted to test it out and see like what it was like to make a YouTube short. And it got a lot of views. And people watched a lot of the video. Like the stats on it were pretty awesome. But it was a video about how I warm my food in the truck. While we're waiting on another load to pop up here, let's flip this over to me. So this is my little food warmer. I have a microwave, but I don't like to use it. I've had a lot of electrical issues with the truck, and I think most of them stem from the usage of that microwave. I haven't had any major electrical issues with my inverter or my generator or any of that stuff since I stopped using the microwave a couple of years ago. And ever since I stopped using the microwave, I've been using this. I've been using this for about 2 years to heat up my food. And it's just some little lunch pail warming thing that, you know, is designed to like take to work. And I make my own food at home and put them in these containers. Like this is white rice, and there's chicken underneath it. You might be able to see a little tiny piece of the chicken. Oh, the box truck beside me is pulling out. But that thing was frozen solid. And it takes 3 or 4 hours for this thing to heat up something that large, that amount of food frozen solid at -4 degrees Fahrenheit. It takes 3 or 4 hours for this thing to heat it up to where it's really hot. So it's not there yet. But it uses almost no power. It uses like 60 watts. Let me put it back over here. I feel kind of bad for box trucks, but at the same time, I don't, because they compete with me. I see a lot of box trucks parked at the truck stops, and a lot of hot shots parked at the truck stops. And those people are sleeping in their trucks. Like, they don't have beds or anything like that. They're just like, they'll put up sunscreens on their windows and just like put a pillow or something up against the window and just sleep in the chair. Another thing you see a lot of at the truck stops are homeless people, or the latest generation calls them stealth campers or van life or something like that. You see a lot of them at the truck stops parked in the car parking. There was a guy last night when I was walking in to take a shower at like midnight or something like that. Was it last night? No, it was the night before last. It was Sunday night. Was it Sunday night or Monday night? I can't remember. It was last night or the night before. But anyway, there was a car that somebody was living in that was parked at behind the building in the employee-only parking, and they had one of those trickle chargers hooked up to their battery. They had their hood open on their car. No shame. Just had their trickle charger hooked up to the battery and was running the thing up, and had it plugged into the back of the building. There was an outlet at the back of the building that they were plugged into. There's every night that I've been here, there's been somebody living in their car parked at the back of the truck stop building. The homeless crisis is really really bad in the Portland area. Second here. I thought somebody was parking next to me. It's crazy the things that you can feel. These trucks are so heavy that they shake the ground. You'll feel like something bumped into you, and it's just somebody that like hit their brakes 20 or 30 feet away from you. These trucks are so heavy and so powerful that they shake the ground. Like the truck next to me was idling their engine, and I put my hand. My truck was completely turned off. My APU wasn't running. Nothing was running in my truck. The idling of the truck parked next to me was shaking the ground, and I put my hand on the table, and I could feel the vibration of the truck idling next to me in my table. That's how powerful these machines are. Oh my goodness, that Heber load is still there. I'm going to call and just talk with them. Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm calling about the load from Kent, Washington to Heber, California. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can make the pickup appointment. What I was mainly concerned with is it looks like this is a load going into Mexico, and you have it listed as a drop and hook. Um, how certain are you that there's a hook after that drop? So it's guaranteed that you guys are giving me a trailer because yeah, just because I've done drop trailers to Mexico and that's a nightmare. You can go months without a trailer. Okay, that was my main concern with this load. Um, and it has to be picked up today. This can't be rescheduled to like Friday. Are they closed on Thursday and Friday for the holiday? Oh, I don't know. I'm south of Portland, so I'm a couple hundred miles away, and I don't know. I'm not sure if I can make it there by 3. But I'm guessing that they close by 5 and they want to start like loading by 3. hmm I don't know. The thing is that I've been awake all night, So I don't even know if I would be awake enough to drive. If they could do a drop and hook on it, that would be awesome. Like I could pick it up. I could go to sleep right now and just pick it up in the middle of the night. I don't know if they're open 24/7 or whatever. Um, just yeah, if you could just tell me what's possible. All right, thanks. She's checking with the broker. She's just like a customer service person. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Let me think about it, and I'll give you a call back if I'm interested in it. All right. Thank you. Bye bye. All right. So they are desperate to move the load. They said that they'll break out deadhead pay, all kinds of pay for me to get me to take the load. And they said that they close at 6 p.m. and they are closed Thursday and Friday. It's Kenworth, and they said this load has to pick up. It has to pick up today. They're desperate to move this load. They basically begged me to please pick up the load. They said they'll do whatever they can to try to get me to take the load. And hmm, they did get as far as the drop trailer. They said that they have their own terminal in Heber. I'm delivering it to their terminal in Heber, and they give me an assigned trailer to pick up in Heber. And they said it's guaranteed. I think this is them calling me back. Just a second. Hello. Hello. Yeah, she answered all those questions. Yeah, she talked to you and answered them. No, it's all good. It's just I'm interested in the load. I was really concerned about a drop trailer in New Mexico, but she told me that you guys would give me a trailer. Now Mm. Yeah. Yeah, so that was one of my concerns because doing a drop trailer in New Mexico can be a nightmare. But yeah, she said that I'll definitely get a trailer from you guys. Then the other thing that I'm worried about was the pickup. I'm south of Portland, so it's a couple hundred miles, and I've been awake all night long. So I was just checking to see if you guys could push the pickup back, and she said that Kenworth is closed Thursday and Friday, so it has to be picked up today. And I told her that I would think about it and give you guys a call back. I'm just trying to figure out if I've got enough in me to drive all the way up there. And then there's nowhere to park in the Seattle area, so I would also have to drive like a couple hundred, 100 plus miles south of Seattle to find a place to park. So I don't know if I've got that much drive left in me today. So I'll that's what I'll think about, and I'll give you guys a call back. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, let's go ahead and do it then. Let's see. It's 9:15. I would leave by 10. It would take me about 4 hours to get there. Somewhere around 2 or 3. 427-816. All right, I ended up booking the damn Heber load. Now do I want to book the Calexico load? That's not an amazing load, and it's a spot market load. So, yeah, they said that I can sleep at the shipper. So I need to end this video because I need to get everything ready to go out over the road right now because I have to drive to Seattle now. I'm not looking forward to driving to Seattle because I've been awake for like 12 hours right now. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Have a good one.